Back from my holiday, I thought let's check out Phantom Liberty, have a look at Ray Reconstruction of DLSS 3.5 and have a short video about it. Was I wrong? Welcome to Angus Gaming, and guess who I am. So in this video we'll dive into Ray Reconstruction and also into the quirks it has graphics wise and performance wise. But we'll also have a look at how to best experience Phantom Liberty, at least in my opinion, which basically comes down to should you play ray traced or path traced. Please note that everything I tell you in this video will probably apply to Cyberpunk the base game with patch 2.0 as well. But also note that I've already done a video about Cyberpunk which goes into all settings and details about non-ray traced gameplay versus ray traced gameplay. At the end of this video I have a small cool mod and a little bit weird, which I want to show you, but that's for the end. Well, let's go. Here you get a preview of my optimized settings, or settings for the best experience, as I try to find original ways to name my videos. But you have a lot of choices for this best experience yourself. Do you care about ray tracing, or are you fine without it? Do you want to use path tracing perhaps? And what are the differences between these? What about resolution and that 2.0 patch? What does that bring graphics wise? I play all my games on a 4K TV without any VRR capability, so I'm looking for a solid 60 FPS experience, preferably in 4K. But I like ray tracing as a technology and graphics wise, so I would certainly want to have that enabled. So to find the best experience, I started off by comparing non-ray traced, ray traced and path traced settings. And then we find that non-ray traced and ray traced settings don't look incredibly different in this shot, but the path traced version does. The lighting is completely different, much darker and moodier. But also I found that ray traced and non-ray traced versions have way more shimmer and flickering than the path traced version. And with that we might as well start with patch 2.0, which brings DLSS 3.5 or the Ray Reconstruction. Now Ray Reconstruction does some major things to denoise images with ray tracing. So you would say Ray Reconstruction has nothing to do with the non-ray traced version of the game. Now I don't get Ray Reconstruction, or it does things it shouldn't. However, here we have a look at a scene from before, non-ray traced but without Ray Reconstruction and with Ray Reconstruction, and we see the image with Ray Reconstruction is much more stable. So Ray Reconstruction does things also in the non-ray traced version of the game. Framerate wise, I think I have left adaptive VSync on, and that is why you see such a big difference in the FPS between the two. We'll have a look at the cost of Ray Reconstruction in a moment. Now you can get Ray Reconstruction option if you fiddle around a bit in the graphics menu. First turn on ray tracing, then turn on path tracing, then turn off ray tracing but leave path tracing on, and this will leave the option for Ray Reconstruction available to set. Now it took me a bit of googling how to set Ray Reconstruction on when you only enable ray tracing and not path tracing. I'll show you in a bit, but I'll post a Reddit where I found my answer down in the description below. But here we see the same effect. With Ray Reconstruction enabled we get a much more stable image. Here it also seems like Ray Reconstruction is giving us an FPS boost. But now let's first have a look at what Ray Reconstruction should actually do. So over at the market of Dogtown we have a puddle. And in this puddle we see reflections, and the reflections with Ray Reconstructions enabled are a bit sharper than without. This is something we would expect from the new Ray Reconstruction. Now my computer had a bit of trouble rendering and recording this, but I think we can say that when Ray Reconstruction is enabled here, it does cost us a bit of FPS. So reflections should look sharper with Ray Reconstruction enabled, but in this next shot I don't see any difference between the reflections. So here Ray Reconstruction does nothing. I do see a difference in FPS, but here Ray Reconstruction turned on performs better than in the shot with Ray Reconstruction turned off. Could also be due to that flying ship coming in. By the way, I have path tracing enabled in this and the previous example. Having Ray Reconstruction enabled in the Ray Traced Ultra preset, however, in this scene caused shadows to be all weird. Now with Ray Reconstruction turned off, we can see that the shadows have the same distorted effect, but Ray Reconstruction seems to enhance the effect, which we don't want. With path tracing and Ray Reconstruction both enabled, however, no issues at all. So Ray Reconstruction can also have some negative effects, performing slightly better again though. Now Ray Reconstruction can also have some issues if you enable it without ray tracing. Here again, without Ray Reconstruction we see some glitching effect, which seems to be enhanced by turning Ray Reconstruction on. Turning on Ray Tracing and Ray Reconstruction, it didn't seem to have this effect. And also I should find a different word for Ray Reconstruction, because I'm saying Ray Reconstruction an awful lot. So is Ray Reconstruction something you should not enable then? No, I don't really know. It fixed some flickering, it caused some flickering. Now in this scene, it seems to fix some flickering again. On the left we have a scene with Ray Tracing Ultra preset. The water on the ground flickers like crazy. Turning on Ray Reconstruction here seems to mostly, although not completely, fix the issue. Again here with path tracing, no issues at all. Also, Ray Reconstruction seems to cost FPS here again. Now here in the Heavy Hearts Club we see almost no difference, although I think Ray Reconstruction seems to be removing some reflections, because both these scenes are running at Ray Traced Ultra preset again. So this all brings us to the question, should you turn on Ray Reconstruction or leave it off? When I ran some benchmarks with my optimized settings with and without Ray Reconstruction, it seems to cost 6% FPS as well. Still, however, I am giving it the benefit of the doubt. It caused some issues, but it also fixed some issues. And also, it is a new technique. As all DLSS things, it is based on deep learning, so Nvidia could improve it over time with updates. And also, patch 2.01 for Cyberpunk is on its way, which promised to improve performance mainly in Dogtown, but it might improve things with Ray Reconstruction as well. So we'll leave it on for now. Let's have a quick look how you can turn on Ray Reconstruction when the menu doesn't allow you to. Go to your appdata folder, local CD Projekt Red Cyberpunk 2077 and open up the file UserSettings.json. Search for DLSS_D and set the value and default_value to true. Probably you only need to set the default underscore value, but I set both every time just to be sure. This way you can have a look yourself. I'll put this in the description down below just for your convenience. Now let's have a look at some other things than Ray Reconstruction, but keep in mind that in all these shots I have Ray Reconstruction enabled. So we're still at the Heavy Hearts Club, because it has a nice vibe, and because it's quite a heavy area to run, so a good place to look at performance. Now looking at the Ultra preset versus the Ray Traced Ultra preset versus the Path Trace preset, all on DLSS performance mode by the way. And here we see even Ultra is currently not running at 60 FPS, let alone the Ray Traced or Path Traced setups. However, I think Path Traced version does look best of the three, with some nice shadows being cast from that bar area. On the other hand, if you wouldn't have seen the Path Traced version, normal and Ray Traced would probably look fine. They all have the same vibe. Now in my previous video of Cyberpunk I already decided I want to play Ray Traced. Just the shadows and the lighting look a bit better, and mainly of course the reflections you get are amazing. So in the following bits I will have a look if we should go Ray Traced or perhaps even Path Traced. So let's start by looking at the pyramid, just when you get out of the chute on your way to save the president. The president can wait a little bit as we look at the pyramid and compare Ray Tracing versus Path Tracing. But don't wait for too long, you might lock yourself out of the Phantom Liberty quest. Now in the Path Traced version we see that fires cast their light more in the area. On the lower parts of the pyramid, on the car, on the trees. Also the pyramid has a bit more contrast in it in the top I think. Again, Path Tracing looks better, but it's not that Ray Tracing looks bad or anything. That also looks great. And Ray Tracing runs about 37% better than Path Traced. A little further on we see the building in the back has a bit more lighting details with the path tracing enabled. Ray tracing performs 58% better however, so that's a lot. And this scene of course, as well as the previous one, isn't something where you normally would stand still to notice all the good looking buildings. You would run through this, so you don't really have time noticing details of buildings. We'll do one more, the Dogtown Market, or what is this location actually called. But here I don't see that much difference in graphics, but I see a lot of difference in performance, about 55%. So path tracing looks a little bit better, but is it really worth the cost in FPS? I don't think so. Although I do suffer a little bit from fear of missing out. I would really like to play with path tracing on, but then I would probably need to turn down my resolution to 1440p to get it running alright at 60 FPS. And I think I would rather have some more crisp and sharp graphics than path tracing. You could of course use the Ray Tracing Overdrive optimizations mod, which will gain you perhaps about 24 to 26% in FPS. Because you lower the amount of rays and lower the amount of bounces those rays make, you will probably get a bit darker environments generally. But won't you lose that bit of lighting effect for which you actually wanted the path tracing option enabled in the first place? And that is what we see in the club as well. Lighting still looks good, but the whole area is a bit darker. It's an improvement in FPS, but still I think I would need to lower my resolution too much. So sticking with ray tracing. And just as my conclusion was in my previous Cyberpunk video, I will use the medium lighting option for ray tracing just to get a few more FPS. Now also, I won't be able to make it in 4K, so I'm lowering my resolution. What? No, don't do it! Yes, I need to. I want to run at 60 FPS. I tried to play the game at 30 FPS, but that's really unplayable, so I want 60 FPS, lowering the resolution. So then, the best way to experience Phantom Liberty is with your resolution set to 1800p QHD+, or 3200 by 1800, which is still a higher resolution as the PS5 is running Cyberpunk on, I believe. Setting the Ray Traced Ultra preset first and then adjust the settings DLSS to performance level and setting the RT lighting setting to medium. This was something I concluded in my previous video of Cyberpunk and it still holds up pretty much. Setting RT lighting to medium just gives you those few percent extra in FPS while not looking noticeably worse. Also, I have set Ray Reconstruction on via the config file. Now then, you probably already saw that I was at 80 FPS on average, with a 61 at minimum. When turning Ray Reconstruction off, I got 85 FPS on average, where both minimum and maximum FPS were higher as well. But I'm counting on Nvidia and CD Projekt Red to improve the performance of this Ray Reconstruction. Now looking at the game running with these optimized settings, I often dip just under 60 FPS, but this could be due to OBS Studio recording. Really, I should find a better way to record without losing so much on OBS, but oh well for now, I guess. You could consider keeping Ray Reconstruction turned off. Or, of course, play with only ray traced reflections enabled, as I think these make for the biggest change in your Cyberpunk experience. But if you can, leave on all ray traced options. Perhaps lower your resolution to 1440p. It's not that the game looks that bad or anything, it's just a bit more blurry. And if you're not playing on a 4K TV, might as well be worth it. So that's as far as my recommendations go, but there was a little mod I wanted to point out to you. Now in this conversation mainly I found it weird that V didn't have a reflection. Even Johnny does, while he is not even a real physical person. Also I saw my shadow reflected at some point in an elevator door, but no body to go with that shadow. There is a mod, or a settings file, which you can set that enables your body to be reflected. However, your body is then missing its head. Still, however, I think I would rather have my body reflected without a head than no reflection at all. Just thought it was fun to point out to you. I will link the mod down below. Now there are some mods to enable your head-in reflections as well, but these were not working with the patch 2.0 version, at least not at the time of filming. But that really is all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you find it useful or enjoyable in some way. Now if you did, please leave a like. And I'll hope to see you again in 2 weeks. Now I don't know what my next video will be about. Maybe about Lies of P, because that is in Game Pass. But otherwise I'll have to buy something. Now I do want to own Mortal Kombat 1 and Baldur's Gate 3, but if you have a suggestion, leave it in the comments. Now, whatever choice I make, I'll hope I'll see you again in 2 weeks. So, houdoe.
No one even saw him get on the train, he jumped from the sky, so he's feeling really good. For anyone who's really looking at this frame, there's a big Easter egg. Look for it, it's there, it's in the frame, but it's a big Easter egg. That's all I'm saying.
What about you? Get your ticket out yet?